Husband slapped pregnant wife publicly in a shopping mall. Her revenge came unexpectedly. Hey viewers, we are excited to bring another amazing story. Please kindly hit the subscribe button, like this video and also share to your friends and loved ones. Thank you so much. Now let's dive right in. My name is Caroline, and today was supposed to be the start of something beautiful. It was supposed to be a day of joy, of picking out tiny clothes for our baby, imagining all the moments we would share as a family. But it ended up being the day everything I knew about my life turned upside down. It all started with a simple trip to the mall. My husband, Robert, and I had been planning to do this for weeks, shopping for baby clothes. We were expecting our first child, and it felt like every little step we took made the journey more real. I was 6 months pregnant, my belly round and full of life, and Robert, my supportive husband, had promised to be there with me every step of the way. Or so I thought. The mall was buzzing with energy, people laughing, kids running around, music playing softly in the background. The scent of fresh popcorn and coffee filled the air, and I felt the excitement building in me. Robert was walking by my side, his hand in mine, as we headed toward the children's section. "Are you sure you're okay to walk around?" Robert asked, his voice laced with concern. "You've been on your feet all morning." "I'm fine, Robert," I replied with a smile, rubbing my belly. "Just a little tired, but I want to get everything ready for the baby." We made our way to the aisles filled with adorable baby clothes. Tiny socks, soft blankets, and the cutest onesies you could imagine. I was lost in the excitement of choosing the perfect outfits for our little one, my heart racing as I pictured Robert and me taking care of our baby. But then, something shifted. "Caroline, hurry up," Robert said, his tone sharp. I looked up, confused. "What?" "I'm just picking out a few things." His face had hardened, and his eyes were cold. "I've been waiting for you to decide. You're taking too long." I took a step back, surprised by the sudden change in his demeanor. "Robert, what's going on? You're acting strange." He gritted his teeth and grabbed my arm roughly, pulling me toward the register. "We're done here. I'm tired of this." I tried to pull away. "Robert, stop. You're hurting me." But he wasn't listening. His grip tightened, and his voice grew more frantic. "You don't understand, Caroline. You're wasting time." I was in shock. This wasn't like him. Robert was always kind, always patient, always supportive. What had happened to him? "Robert, please," I whispered, trying to keep my voice calm, even though my heart was racing. "Why are you acting like this? You're scaring me." But instead of responding, Robert suddenly raised his hand and slapped me across the face. The sound was loud, sharp, and it echoed through the store. My cheek burned with pain, and my world seemed to spin. People turned to look, gasping in disbelief. The hurt in Robert's eyes was replaced with anger, and I could hardly believe what had just happened. "Don't ever talk back to me like that again," he spat, his voice cold as ice. I was stunned, my hand trembling as I touched my cheek. I could feel the tears welling up in my eyes, but I couldn't bring myself to cry. "Not here. Not now." "You're embarrassing me," Robert continued, his voice growing louder. "Why do you always have to make everything so difficult?" I stumbled backward, my heart pounding in my chest. The world around me seemed to fade as I tried to process what had just occurred. This couldn't be real. Robert, the man I married, the father of my child, had just slapped me in front of a crowd of strangers. "Robert, please," I said, my voice shaking. "This isn't you." But he didn't listen. He turned and walked away, leaving me standing there in front of the register, tears threatening to spill. I watched him go, feeling the weight of his absence, the emptiness in my chest growing with every step he took. The store was silent for a moment before whispers began to fill the air. I looked around, my face flushed with humiliation. I had never felt so small, so insignificant. But deep down, something inside me snapped. I wasn't just hurt by what he did. I was furious. How could he treat me like this? How could he, the man who vowed to protect me, hurt me in front of everyone? As I stood there, tears streaming down my face, I heard a voice behind me. "Are you okay?" a kind woman asked, her voice gentle. She must have been a fellow shopper, someone who had witnessed what had happened. I nodded, wiping my tears quickly. I'm fine. I don't understand." The woman gave me a sympathetic look. "Don't let him make you feel like this. You deserve better." Her words were like a small spark of hope in the midst of my despair. Maybe she was right. Maybe I did deserve better. Maybe I didn't have to let Robert treat me like this. I turned around and left the store, walking as fast as I could. But as I stepped outside into the sunlight, a new feeling washed over me. It was a feeling I couldn't quite explain, but it was there. It was the beginning of something new, something I never thought I'd have to do. Revenge. Not for the sake of hurting Robert, but for the sake of reclaiming my dignity, for the sake of standing up for myself. I wouldn't let him get away with this. And when I saw him again, things would be different. But little did I know, Robert's actions would set off a chain of events I could never have predicted. And the revenge I was plotting would come in a way no one, not even me, could have imagined. I spent the next few days in a fog. It wasn't just the physical pain from Robert's slap that lingered, it was the emotional ache that gnawed at me every time I closed my eyes. The sound of his voice, the coldness in his eyes, it all replayed in my mind like a broken record. I had never seen Robert like that. Never. We didn't talk much in the days that followed. Every time I looked at him, I saw the men I thought I knew, but with a darkness lurking beneath the surface. Robert had always been loving, protective, even a little possessive at times, but this was something else. He would come home late, mumbling a quick hello before retreating into his study, where I'd hear the faint sound of his computer keys clicking away. I tried to approach him, but he'd shut me down, saying he was busy with work or needed some space. At first, I tried to be understanding. Maybe he was stressed. But deep down, I knew this wasn't about stress. It was something else. One evening, I decided I couldn't take it anymore. I had to confront him. The silence was unbearable, and if we didn't talk, if I didn't get answers, I knew things would only get worse. I found Robert sitting at his desk, as usual, typing away on his laptop. His brow was furrowed in concentration, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. He wasn't the same man I married. I had to know what had changed. Robert, I called softly, my voice shaking. He didn't look up. I'm busy right now, Caroline. Can we talk later? No, we can't, I said, my voice growing firmer. We need to talk now. Robert paused, his fingers stilling on the keyboard. He slowly turned to face me, his eyes narrowing. About what? I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. About what happened at the mall. About why you slapped me. For a moment, there was only silence. His face remained unreadable, like a mask had been placed over it. But I could see the flicker of something, regret, anger, fear, pass through his eyes. I've told you before, he muttered, looking away. I don't want to talk about it. No, I said, stepping closer. You don't get to decide that anymore. I want answers. Why did you do it? Why did you hurt me? His jaw clenched, and for a moment, I thought he was going to walk away again. But then, he exhaled sharply and ran a hand through his hair. I don't know, Caroline, he said, his voice low, almost like he was talking to himself. I couldn't take it anymore. You've been so distant lately. So focused on the baby, on everything else. And I've been feeling, I don't know, left out? Forgotten? My heart sank. Was that what this was about? My pregnancy? My focus had shifted to preparing for the baby, but I never thought it would make Robert feel like this. I thought I was doing the right thing, preparing our home, making sure everything was in place. But now, I felt guilty. Had I really been so distant? Robert, I never meant to ignore you, I said, my voice softer now. I love you, and I've been so excited for the baby, but you're right. I should have been more present for you. But instead of softening, Robert's face darkened. His eyes glinted with something I couldn't place, resentment, maybe, or something more dangerous. It's not just about you being distant, Caroline, he said, standing up from his chair, his voice rising. It's about everything. You think I don't notice? You think I don't see the way you look at me sometimes? Like I'm just some accessory in your life, there to carry your bags and sign your papers while you do all the real work. I took a step back, stunned by the outburst. Robert, I never. But he cut me off, his voice now cold and sharp. You never what, Caroline? You never saw me? You never cared? I was frozen, my mind scrambling to find the right words, but nothing seemed to make sense. That's not true, Robert. Before I could finish, he moved toward me, his eyes wide with anger. Don't lie to me. I'm sick of it, Caroline. Sick of you acting like I don't matter. In an instant, I found myself backed against the wall, Robert standing so close I could feel the heat of his breath on my face. His fists were clenched at his sides, and for the first time, I was genuinely scared. This wasn't the man I married. This wasn't the man who had held me close on our wedding night and promised to always protect me. Robert, please, I whispered, my heart pounding in my chest. You're scaring me. His eyes flickered, something softening in his gaze, but just as quickly, the anger returned. He stepped back, running a hand through his hair again. I don't know what's wrong with me, Caroline, he said, his voice breaking. I don't want to be like this, but I feel like I'm losing control. Like I'm losing everything. I stared at him, unsure of what to do. This wasn't the Robert the First had married, the one who promised to cherish and protect me. This was someone else, someone filled with anger and confusion, someone I didn't recognize. I don't know how to fix this, he continued, almost pleading. I don't know how to make it stop. I wanted to say something, anything to make it better. But the truth was, I was scared. I didn't know how to fix this either. And maybe, just maybe, I didn't want to. As Robert sank back down into the chair, his head in his hands, I realized that I was at a crossroads. I had to make a decision. I couldn't stay in this toxic relationship. But at the same time, I couldn't just walk away without knowing what had happened to the men I had loved. Days passed after that conversation with Robert, and every moment felt like a ticking time bomb. I couldn't get the image of him standing in front of me, yelling, his anger consuming him like a wildfire. I had never seen him so unrecognizable. The men I had once known, the men I had promised to stand by in sickness and in health, was slipping away, and I was helpless to stop it. I spent a lot of time reflecting, on our marriage, on the life we had built together, and on the person I had become since that fateful day in the mall. Robert had hurt me, both physically and emotionally, and no amount of apologies could erase that. But what hurt the most wasn't just the slap. It was the complete disregard for my feelings, my needs, my worth. I couldn't do this anymore. I couldn't stay in a marriage where my values were being trampled on, where respect was nowhere to be found. I had to take control of my life, my future, and my happiness. I had to let go. That's when I made the decision. It wasn't an easy one, but it was the only one I could make. I had to leave Robert. I had to serve him the divorce papers. It was a decision that had been weighing heavily on me for days, but today, I knew I couldn't wait any longer. The emotional toll was too much, and deep down, I knew that if I stayed, I would lose myself. The Caroline who dreamed of love, trust, and partnership would fade away until she was nothing more than a distant memory. That afternoon, I sat at the kitchen table, the divorce papers in front of me. My hands trembled as I stared at them, the finality of the decision sinking in. I wasn't just ending a marriage, I was reclaiming my dignity. My voice. My life. As I folded the papers neatly and placed them in an envelope, I felt a strange sense of calm wash over me. It wasn't that I was happy, far from it. But I knew this was the right thing to do. I couldn't stay in a relationship where I was constantly walking on eggshells, afraid of what would set him off next. Robert had come home late again, as usual. He didn't notice the envelope sitting on the table, but I knew that tonight would be different. He had to know. I stood up, taking a deep breath. The moment of truth had arrived. I walked toward the door of his study, my heart pounding in my chest. He was hunched over his desk, his face illuminated by the glow of the laptop screen, his mind clearly elsewhere. Robert, I called softly, my voice trembling despite my best efforts to remain strong. He didn't look up. Not now, Caroline. I'm busy. I took a step closer, my resolve hardening. No, Robert. We need to talk. Finally, he looked up at me, his face showing a mix of annoyance and indifference. What is it now? I reached into my bag and pulled out the envelope, holding it out toward him. I can't do this anymore, Robert, I said, my voice steady but filled with emotion. I'm serving you the divorce papers. His eyes flickered with surprise, but he quickly masked it with a sneer. You think you can just walk away from everything we built? His voice was harsh, like a slap across my face. I've already walked away, Robert, I replied softly, my heart racing. I've been walking away from you for a long time. The moment you slapped me in that mall, You made it clear that this isn't the marriage I signed up for. I deserve better. And so do you. Better? You think you're going to find someone better than me? Robert's voice was rising now, his anger returning, like a beast awakened. He stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. You think anyone else will love you the way I did? I don't need anyone to love me like you did, Robert, I said, my voice quiet but firm. I need someone who respects me. Someone who sees me as an equal, not a possession. And that's something you never did. Robert's face turned red, his fists clenched at his sides. You're being ridiculous. We've been through too much for you to just throw it all away. What about our baby? What about our family? I swallowed hard, the lump in my throat threatening to choke me. I thought about that. But I can't raise our child in a home where love is conditional, where respect is something you give only when it suits you. I won't let our child grow up in that kind of environment. Robert took a step toward me, his voice low and dangerous. You think you're leaving me, Caroline? You think I'll let you walk away from everything? You'll regret this. I stood my ground, my heart pounding in my chest. I've already made my decision, Robert. I won't regret it. I'm not afraid of you anymore. For a moment, we stood there, staring at each other. The silence between us was thick with unspoken words, with all the things we never said. Finally, Robert turned away, his shoulders slumped in defeat. Fine, he muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. Take your papers. Take everything. And with that, he walked out of the room, leaving me standing there with the weight of the divorce papers in my hands. It was over. I had taken the first step toward freedom. But even as I stood there, the finality of it all still hadn't fully sunk in. I had never imagined that I would end up here, in a place where the person I once loved was now a stranger. A man I couldn't trust, a man who had broken me in ways I couldn't even begin to explain. I looked at the envelope one last time, a sense of peace settling over me. I had done it. I had chosen myself. And now, no matter what came next, I was ready.